Hi there, you're at the Aave Wyckoff analysis session, so we'll quickly look at where Aave is heading. Is it still going to the up first, or is it like there's no chance at all? So in the weekly chart, last week we talked about looking at the uptrend. Is it heading towards an up first, meaning testing a level higher than the green line of around $370. This line is set by the buying climax back in December last year. So currently we are seeing a red candle. However, the good sign, at least a relieving sign, is that it's staying above the purple support line at around $280. This is a line set by the automatic reaction back also in December last year. So one thing here I want to mention is the price has dropped below this pink line. What is this pink line? This pink line is the upward trend for the past 4 weeks since late June or even mid-June. Mid-June stopped at here, and then eventually the price started climbing. And last week you also mentioned about this upward wedge, and you know, if you have been following candlesticks analysis or studying candlesticks patterns, an upward wedge is a bearish sign. So it's not surprising that we have a red candle today or this week, just that we're still early in the week. Hopefully, well, it's not hopefully, there may be a scenario where the candle comes back and closes near the pink line, then the upward trend still continues. However, it doesn't matter if it really stays above the purple line, and then eventually the price can develop a pattern that's still staying within this yellow box, this upward trend since April. So that way it can still test the green line and eventually maybe setting an up first point. Given this weekly backdrop, if we look at the daily last week we put in the up first of the distribution tag basically because we have seen something I consider to be a buying climax back in late May, and then we have this up first in mid-June, and eventually we have this up first of the distribution period between July 15 to 21st, almost a week's time. The price has been staying at a point higher than the up first. So as of this moment, if the price is retracing, it's not unexpected, because after every one of these peaks we would expect a retracement. How deep it can go, nobody knows. It depends on what's happening around the world. Whoever important said anything crazy, the crypto industry, like some events happened. Any kind of news can be a trigger point of these kind of drastic movements. So aligning to what I said in the beginning, here we can also see the wedge formed, the upward wedge formed between the purple, the upward trend earlier back in from April to June. So I should keep this block as long as it is, because that's where we can see the wedge. So the upward wedge, bearish sign, and today and yesterday it already demonstrated that, yeah, it's coming down. However, it's still above the purple support line. Here, looking at the volume, is a little bit high, I would say, compared to what we had in the entire June, well, not entire June, like late June and early July. Hopefully it doesn't continue this high volume trend, especially when it's red. But then it will find support if it really, like, the volume doesn't go any crazier and it successfully finds support here. Well, I should correct what I said just now. The volume can go crazy, just that it shouldn't stay red. If it happens in a way that the volume bar comes really high, maybe it's still red, but it ends up like a pin, meaning the body of the candle goes or shorten, leaving a long wick. That's a good sign, because that means somebody is pushing the price up to a point with more stability. But looking at the Wyckoff pattern, it would get to a point, well, usually we don't call that sign of weakness, or maybe a late stage, a phase D sign of weakness, somewhere. So it wouldn't be at this high, I would say. If it's that high, it may still trade horizontal. What I'm expecting would be something around similar level as what we have seen after the upthrust. The thing here is similar to what I said just now, like pushing the price up. This is a good example here. You see this candle somewhere in the middle of that day. The body should have gone like this big, this long, but there was some significant trading that pushes the price back to this level. So hopefully we would see something like that, even if the sign of weakness is being developed in the next few days, coming down to this point. Hopefully it's like still getting a support somewhere at around $228. So let me add a line here and see whether next week when we come back, this support works for Aave currently, which is waiting to see how it develops, whether this will be a new sign of weakness. So this is option 1 or scenario 1. Scenario 2 would be it doesn't come as deep, it found support at this purple line and then eventually have a little bit of bounce before it comes back down. So from a timeline perspective, it happens later. So this SOW will move to the right hand side. What we see by then, this little peak, that will be the last point of supply. So here I haven't put in the previous cycle, but it's basically something similar to this one and this one. So after the peak, we have this lower peak while the price retraces. So let me copy this and put it over here, and this is LP, that's Y. So let's see whether it will exhibit a pattern similar to this or something like this. We have all the supports and resistance cover.